I've been searching for an engine skid to protect the oil pan on my 392 for some time now. I have an early 2021 with the aluminum oil pan, and it's given me concern since the moment I bought the Jeep. I've wanted to find a way to protect that for a long time. Rusty's Off-Road has come out with an engine skid for the 392, and that's what I decided to go with. I've had Rusty's products before, and I've always been impressed with the quality of their work. That's one of the reasons that I decided to go with Rusty's for the engine skid for the 392. And Rusty's, by the way, is somewhat famous in the industry for their over-the-top spray-in foam insulation protective packaging, which you can see me struggling to undo here. But the main reason that I went with the Rusty's Off-Road engine skid is because I wanted something that I could run alone. I don't see the need to run an aftermarket full skid system for the type of wheeling that I do. Don't want to add all of that weight, and adding a full skid system would give me concern about heat buildup, especially with a 6.4 Hemi under the hood. And hey, it might seem silly, but another reason that I decided to go with Rusty's for the engine skid was because of this super cool 392 cutout on the front. There's also 392 cutouts on the side of the engine skid, which is just a really nice touch. As I've mentioned in other videos, I do not have the patience to do how-to or installation or tutorial videos. So if you're looking for a how-to install the Rusty's engine skid, my apologies, you'll need to refer to the instructions. He does have a nice set of PDF instructions on the website, and he includes a printout in the box. What I would tell you is it's not difficult, but it is time consuming. It is a bit frustrating, and unless you have lift in your garage, more patience than I have, or more tools than I have, I wouldn't consider this to be a fun or enjoyable project. That being said, it is a project that your at-home backyard mechanic can do in their driveway. You're going to want to have a crawler for sure, so you can get underneath the Jeep easily, and you're going to want to make sure that you have some really good hand tools to pull this off. Here you can see the door for the oil drain plug. You use Allen keys to remove that door, and you can see the cool 392 cutout on the side of the engine skid. Like I said, this is not a tutorial or a how-to, but I will try to give you a few tips that will help you during this install. The average backyard mechanic should be able to complete this install in a few hours. You will definitely want to make sure that you have someone available who can lend a helping hand. I also found it helpful to have a jack stand available, and I used that to help support the engine skid during the final stages of the install. First step in the process is to remove the factory skids. You'll need an 18mm socket to remove the factory skid plates before you can install the Rusty skid. Next step is to mount the support arms or support brackets to the engine mounts. My tip here is find the thinnest walled deep socket 17mm that you can find, because this is super tight. Each bracket is unique, one for the driver's side, one for the passenger side. Here in this shot you can see just how tight that space is, and I went through every 17mm socket I had in the toolkit and tried to find the thinnest walled, smallest diameter 17mm. Even then it was dicey, and ultimately the only way I could get it tight was to use a deep weld 17mm on a wobble attachment. The Rusty's instructions are pretty clear, and the other piece of advice is to make sure that you only loosely attach all of the hardware before you make sure that you've got the engine skid placed correctly, then go through and do your final round of bolt tightening. And I got to tell you, a powered ratchet like this 18-volt Makita or an air ratchet is a game changer when you're lying on your back for a few hours. Impact driver is a little less convenient just because of the lack of clearance when you're lying underneath the Jeep. Now, of course, if you have a lift, that's a different set of circumstances. But for me, the Makita Power Ratchet was a game changer. So once you get the Rusty's engine skid squared away, then you reinstall your factory skid plate and you're good to go. The challenge that I had and I still have is clearance for the exhaust. You can see in this video I have plenty of clearance on the driver's side, but I'm touching, just barely touching the exhaust on the passenger. I've tried everything that I know to try, including a big frickin' hammer, and I still can't get enough clearance on the passenger side. So I'll need to get back underneath the Jeep, loosen all of the hardware, and see if there's any way possible I can create a few more millimeters of clearance on the passenger side. If I can't, then I guess I'm going to need to take the skid off, get out the angle grinder, and try to create my own additional few millimeters of clearance. Other than that, this thing is bomber. It is a really good solution to protect that oil pan, and I'm glad that I made the purchase. And this skid will certainly add some peace of mind for when I'm out on the trail. Even doing light off-roading, trail running, this thing's going to add peace of mind. You know, we took this Jeep to Drummond Island over the summer, and I got to tell you, I was nervous. We weren't doing hardcore wheeling, but those trails at Drummond are rocky. There's logs, there's sticks, there's all kinds of things that could ruin your day or more. And this engine skid is going to add plenty of protection for that vulnerable oil pan. Like, subscribe, tell all of your Jeep fanatic friends about the channel. Take care.